We're with a gentleman here. Maybe he could introduce himself.
Laza Lowe, former Clarendon College and founder in one of the best programs in Jamaica, Hazard. Hazard is now Portmore. Okay? Probably in that part of the world, one of the first guys to do youth soccer. Because whatever was taught to me at Clarendon College by Winston Chomfa, I'd go back into my neighborhood and find all the 10, 11, and 12-year-olds and pretend I was the coach. It was about community development more than it is anything else.
What year you came to Canada?
I came to Canada 1975, the 31st of August, 1975. Played 1 year of high school soccer and was kind of nationally known after the first year. As
Okay.
when I came here, I was a part of the pool of Jamaica under 20 players at the time.
Okay. How you got back into the game when you reached here?
When I got here, there was a couple of friends of mine that migrated just before I did, or maybe a year before I did. And when I arrived, they got in touch. And actually, his name was Clive Walters, a very good friend of mine. We've been friends since basic school, right through high school, and they had migrated before I did. So when I arrived, they found me and got in touch, and they told me about.
What part of Toronto? The West End, East End?
No, in the East End, around the Danforth and Greenwood area. Because we used to practice over the school is now St. Patrick's Catholic school, just south of the Danforth off of Greenwood.
Okay.
Felsted Park.
So Psalms 11, you guys only played in the contrast, correct?
And we played in the contrast and also in the Spanish League.
Oh, that's where you guys played.
Liga Española Sudamericana.
Okay.
At St. Clair and Caledonia.
Okay,
actually, it was a very good league. There's two divisions, the second and the first division. We started out in the second division, cleaned it up, and then got promoted to the first division, and then everything disintegrated after that. Maybe Bobby could tell you.
Yeah, I'm supposed to talk to Bobby. The thing is, the contrast was basically for black teams. So
yes,
the composition of Palms 11 basically a black team, correct?
Yeah, it was a black team. It was a black, sorry, and at that time too, we were only good players, but the league was actually a recreation league.
Yeah. So going up against West Indies, I guess you probably progressed through because the contrast was a knockout format. So you progressed and you remember the teams, but this West Indies victory seemed to be very much in Palms 11 40 in terms of the history books.
Yeah. I mean, when I joined the team, after, right, I knew other players who were around who we invited into the program to make it a stronger program.
Bobby said you invited him as the coach. He brought him in as the coach.
Yes, because Bobby's background is legendary. Jamaica national player from Cavaliers, very technical, all right, ferocious defender who has the mindset with a winning mentality for everything he does. But when we ran into Bobby was playing, I think, with Danforth Italia. And there was two fields that is separated by the school. Danforth Italia used to train on the top field and we were on the bottom field. So we'd train and then we'll either go up there or call them to the bottom. And we'll beat the crap out of them all the time until we beat Bobby off of that team. All right? And because I knew of his background, right? Because the school they attended, very technical, was only about 4 miles from where I grew up.
Okay.
And at that time, and at that time, there's a history surrounds that school. Even Manchester United used to go there and train in the summer.
Okay.
At that time, it was the old English Division 1, not the Premier League.
Actually, that's what I heard. Yeah, somebody told me that.
Because the coach for Veer at the time, English guy, Derek Tompkinson, was a very good coach in Jamaica, and in Jamaica there was no youth development. All the development and soccer, youth soccer was in the high schools.
Okay. So defeated West Indies.
We beat West Indies in the final, one fall over at Thorncliffe Park.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was the final. Seeing that how you evolve into different organizations, primarily West Indies, what was attractive to you at that time? Because
Actually,
ladies and gentlemen, this is a guy now who's actually developing a lot of youths here. So it's important that I find out how he was thinking and where he went. So how you were thinking at that time?
At that time, I wanted to play at the highest level. I was training with Toronto Italia in the old National Soccer League.
Mm-hmm.
So in the National Soccer League, it was a ethnic community league, semi-pro league. It's a semi-pro league. You have entities like Toronto, Croatia, Panhellenic, which was run by the Greeks, Toronto, Italia, First Portuguese. You have Bradford Marshlanders up north. You have St. Catherine's Roma. You have, I think, a program from a program was from Buffalo, Sudbury Cyclones, and I think there was a program I think in Detroit too.
Well, you were with Panhellenic. The last one time I remember you were with Panhellenic.
Yeah, that time. No, I was with Toronto Italia, and then I left Toronto Italia. I had a falling out with the coach. He was Irishman from right. And at that time, all these programs, they used to bring in 5-6 players from their whole countries. Toronto Italia would bring in 5-6 because at that time they'll probably come here and get paid more than they were being paid in the whole country. So in terms of Toronto, Croatia, and Serbia White Eagles, it was still Yugoslavia under Marshal Tito's rule. So people would run away and look for a better life in Canada, but the only thing they brought with them was football. So they created a football entity in their own community. And for years, Toronto, Croatia has been one of the better footballing communities.
That's true. I got close to them, and that's very true.
Oh, really? They support the Canadian game big time. Big time. Was one of the staple of Canadian soccer, Toronto, Croatia. So I was kind of privileged when I played with them.
So how you branch over into the community now? You take a little dip in Psalms 11 after that? The Psalms 11 was after that, right?
No, Psalms 11 was before that.
So how you came back to the community?
I was pissed off with the guys from Toronto, Italia.
And then you decide, so you maintain your contact with community members, and how you learn about West Indies, and when did you join them?
West Indies. I joined West Indies after it looked like Psalms 11 wasn't going anywhere, right? And West Indies had a history of playing in the wider Ontario soccer, i.e. the Toronto and District League, and no, they had won the Ontario Cup in 1973.
That's what I was going to ask you. Were you aware? So you stayed away, although when you came in 75, were you aware of the 73 victory, and you still pursued
it was after. I was aware of it after, because again, I remember one Sunday evening we went to play them. I don't remember if it's an exhibition game or a contrast cup game, but we went to play them at the University of Toronto. And they had so many players that they offered to take half of Psalms 11 and stack it with the West Indies United. And we were pissed off. So I told them, we won't be playing them. Let's go home.
Yeah, they had personnel, yeah.
Yes, they did. But at the end of the day, too, Psalms 11 went there to play against West Indies United. So I wasn't in favor of playing a scrimmage with half my team.
Well, yeah, well, again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the kind of guy Laza was always firm like that, you know, because I'm a very structured person in terms of these type of things. So you're into West Indies. Who was running West Indies? Who was the coach and stuff when you got into West Indies?
When I went there, I think it was Chiku. Yeah, I think it was Chiku that was coaching them at the time.
So that was what, 78 then?
Yeah.
Okay. And how you found it? Because it seemed like you make a living there in terms of you haven't moved from West Indies. That's it. So how you found it and how that evolution and being there and relating to West Indies, how that evolved?
Well, again, football, for me, football clubs, it's only my opinion. Somebody else can be different. I always see football clubs as institutions in communities. All right. So for me, and if you take a look at the landscape, the football landscape at the time, it was an ethnic landscape. If you want to say it was a segregated game, because in the other programs, you wouldn't find no more than 2 or 3 black guys. If you find 3 black guys in a Toronto Italia team or a Pan-Hellenic team or a Serbian team or a Croatian team, then you find a lot. Okay? Mm-hmm. So after seeing it, I'm saying to myself, in our community, why can't we do the same thing? And West Indies United signifies people from the West Indies.
Yeah, correct. And right? A good composition of people from the West Indies too.
Yes. So I'm saying if we can compile the best talent from across the West Indies in one place called West Indies United, with the view to compete against all the other programs.
Okay, so now you play TND, correct? You did play in TND.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're in West Indies. How you develop this really knack for? I realize you have it in your foundation in Jamaica before you came, but how you got serious into the coaching?
Well, after playing, if you love the game, after playing, there's nothing else to do. You either become a referee or a coach.
But it seemed like you do it from fairly young.
Well, yes. And I used to be an OSA instructor, coaching instructor. And one of the things I used to impress upon the young coaches coming into coaching is your coaching, actually, you only take those courses to get the certificate. But your coaching actually starts from the playground. And if you don't believe me, you read Alex Ferguson's book, all right? Because if you're a kid going to school and you're blessed to have a ball, that means you runs the program. Okay, so you have recess and you have 30 minutes to do a game. This is where player identification and selection comes in. If you know who's coming out on a recess, you will take the best player. True. And so forth, and the selection of players go on until if it's 11 aside or 15 aside. So that is a player selection process. So all these coaching courses, it only reinforces what you believe.
True.
Right? And like I said, I've been coaching in my neighborhood before even coaching certification or licensing programs exist. Like I used to have a good coach in high school, so whatever he does with us, and maybe it wasn't good for the young players at the time, because you go on to learn that there's different stages of development, and what you teach a 25-year-old is not what you teach a 10-year-old.
Exactly, like everything else.
Good. Yeah. So the coaching courses help to put your thought process and a program together, all right? But the background or basic of coaching was always there.
Okay, so I know you help West Indies program, as Bugs and these guys noted. So besides doing the OSA thing, I guess you were under Jim Canavan, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Because I remember he spoke highly of you.
There was a process before I get even to there. because I did 2 stints with West Indies United as a coach. I built 2 nice programs for them, but again, like I said to you before, I always look at it as clubs, as an institution within a community. Now, i.e., it could be an ethnic community, or I personally portray it as an institution within a geographic area. So a club is always a home away from home. You know, one of the things I like doing right now when I watch football, I like watching Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, because at some point in time, the camera goes to the stands and you see all the old players, the Rummenigges and the Beckenbauers and the Oliver Kahns, okay? And so it portrays the legacy of football.
Yep.
And in my dealing with West Indies United, these are some of the thoughts.
There you go.
That I was portraying, to create a club run and owned by Black people in this city. But I guess not everybody had that belief. Not everybody had that belief. Because we're coming from backgrounds where football was not an industry. Where you're coming from in Trinidad, or myself in Jamaica, the game wasn't built on the industry of the game. It was always built on what maybe your parents used to tell you, don't go there and play. Those guys over there, they're worthless. You go there, you're wasting your time. Nobody has ever told you that, hey, here's the thing. It's a craft, it's a skill, it's a profession. If you do it well, you will be paid handsomely.
Yeah.
So, don't you know?
And you can major in it in school now, academically.
Well, but here's the thing. And this is one of the things that school is supposed to do for the student. It's supposed to find out where your aptitude lies and channel you in that profession. Because we all can't be cops. We all can't be lawyers or doctors. We can't. We all can't be farmers. We all can't be welders. So you sending your kid to school, the school's responsibility is to find out where the kid talent lies.
Yeah. Well, the old system still onus is on academics, which you want to have a certain aptitude to decipher things, but you know, your talents come in different ways. You're right.
Absolutely. Really, hey, I've been watching or playing this thing for a long, long time. I've only ever seen one doctor on the field.
You're killing me though. So okay. So you stay with West Indies, you build these youth programs and stuff. And West Indies had some players I would like, because I really think you have an uncanny ability to decipher also talent. You might be a coach, but some of the teams, we just cover contrast. Let's talk about the uncanny ability eye for talent. You are aware of the Flemington Park. How you got aware of the Flemington Park?
Oh, did I?
Get aware of the Flemington Park Street Guys Soccer League or the Toronto Caribbean at the time?
Well, I think it was through Roy. Yeah, the little black guy used to run the league called Roy.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And Flemington is an extension of Contrast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's an extension of Contrast. Was no longer then it's the Flemington League.
Right. But then you brought in, you know, while playing, I mean, this is a guy, ladies and gentlemen, that I can relate to because he did multiple things. And to me, he's always serious to do it well, or always try to do it well. Within that time, when you were bringing teams in Flemington Park, you were still occupied elsewhere. But from my estimation, the talent you were bringing was A1 talent. You know, you brought Powerhouse, I think you brought Sanjax. Like these were, I mean, of course, the comfort zone may not have been there, but I knew they were talented individuals you were bringing in. So you had to look at the league a certain way to be bringing in that type of dynamite talent.
Again, for us, it was just giving back to the community. Some place for us to go on a Saturday or Sunday and just be with friends, playing a game, just for the sheer love of the game, for nothing else. We weren't playing to go anywhere. We were just playing as Black people from the community, and this is what we do, and we can get together. We used to bring our families out on a Saturday or Sunday and just have a good time.
So, but the talent though, I mean, you had Dada Skill, you had Tyon, you had Howie, you had TC, which is one of the most skillful guys.
Yeah, actually, he's one of the better one of the best players I've ever seen in this country, and I've seen a lot of players in this country.
Yeah. Unbelievable skill level.
TC is one of the best players at football. I'm talking about a football player. Because see, the first criteria you need to play football is football talent. No?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you have no talent, everything else you do in football, you're wasting your time. And TC does possess, or did possess, supreme talent that could play, I think, could play in any league. Because at the time too, we couldn't go anywhere to play. Because if you look in England, there's only 2 black guys on one team. If you look in America, the same thing. You know, and when I came here in 1975, I was supposed to go to Santos of Jamaica. I came the 31st of August 75, and Santos of Jamaica played against New York Cosmos of the old the North American League, the NASL, 21st of September 1975. And I would have been in that Santos squad to play against Pele and Chinali and Beckenbauer and Carlos Alberto and Bogicevic.
But you decided to migrate?
Well, no, I didn't decide. My parents said I have to migrate.
Well, that's good that somebody could have convinced you or something, because since I met you, I don't think anybody could have convinced you of much things.
I didn't want to go, but my parents decided I have to migrate. My brother and sister, they need to take the flight, so you have to be on it too. So, and so I landed on these shores with much regret at the time.
Oh, okay, because you did well,
at the time, because it was cold. I still can't adjust to the cold.
Okay, well, you know,
but I remember I was in the National Coaching Institute, and one of the speeches or presentation I made. I'm a football coach. I'm from Jamaica. This is Jamaica's gift to Canada. And I've gone on to really help the sport in the city and in the province. As you can take a look at the history of the players, both male and female, that I have helped to unearth out of grassroots soccer.
Give me some of the names, because I know we were speaking a while back, and you were calling some names.
You look at the Atiba Hutchinsons. Ask them if at some point in time, Laza was a part of their life. The Jonathan de Guzmans, the Sims, the Jamie Peters, Kyle Oliveira, Shane Lamy, who's now an assistant coach with the national program. Okay, Steven Vittoria, the central defender, David Edgar. Richie Laurier, right back for Toronto FC now. I take those kids out of the grassroots.
Yeah, I think he was the last guy. I think we were at the game when you told me that you had him under your wing, and he's playing well. I like his game. Yeah. I think I think they're limiting him though. I think he right now he's at the top of his game, and I think they should allow him to be creative however he wants. He's doing it. I say he's dribbling. Sometimes he's in the 18. Very rare you see a wing back who can dribble the way he dribbles in the 18 and put it away.
Again, it goes back to football development. Do not limit yourself to one position. When he started out as a young player, he was a holding central midfielder. And he's evolved. So I suggest to all the young players that are playing, even if you have to play in the goal, just be on the field. As I've never seen a guy score from the bench or defend a player from the bench. So just be thankful that you're on the field and you're playing. The position really doesn't mean a thing. Until you're about 16 years old, then you may need to go win a spot within a program. But you learn all the positions because it widens your knowledge of the game.
Okay. So where you now understand you maybe going in the east. You were up in Ajax or Pickering here, I think for the little while until COVID.
Right
I know
now,
you had something of your own too.
I did. I did. I mean, the name Sanjax. You spoke about Sanjax in the
Phenomenon.
Premier League. Okay. Well, the name emanates from Santos of Brazil and Ajax of Amsterdam.
Okay.
Okay. You put them together, Sanjax. San from Santos, Jax from Ajax of Amsterdam. Two of my favorite players, Pele and Johan Cruyff.
Okay.
So Sanjax was born in the ghettos of Jane and Finch. So when we were coming to Flemington Park, you notice sometimes I have 40 cars following us into Flemington Park. All the gangsters, they just love the program. I used to train the gangsters are on one side, I'm in the middle, and the cops are on one side. And I had this happen twice. I remember with West Indies United, I brought them to Malvern for the sheer purpose of having youth programs underneath them. Because you can't do senior football without youth programs. And you can't do youth programs without senior football.
That is the message I'm trying to get across, even with this exposure thing.
You understand me? All right. So with West Indies United, when I brought with the second time around, I had two teams. I think I had Mark Oit's team, was an under 17 team from North Scarborough, and I had Cali Cumry's team, Dana Hughes Brothers team from West Rouge. Mark Oit's team was relegated from the OYSL. That was the highest level of youth play, Ontario Youth Soccer League. And Cali's team was going through some disruption. They only had 6 players. Mark had maybe 9, even though there were 2 different age groups. So I took him over, put them together, played in the under 18 age group.
So I guess you were good at maths too.
Well, I can only count up to 11. That's the amount of players you need on the field. As the guys on the bench, you don't even count them, right?
Yeah.
So I put them together, win that league with about 6 games to go. Move them up the last year of their youth soccer back into the OYSL. Okay. And then I'm figuring out what am I going to do? Actually, what am I going to do with these guys? So I contacted West Indies United, and I guess Stones and some of them were over at Malvern. All right. So I told them we'll play one group in the OSL in the senior men's competition, and one group in the under 21. I think the under 21 group had won, and the older group finished 4th. At that time, GS and those guys were like running rampant in the league. The second year, out of a 22-game schedule, all right, the senior men's program was 1 point out of first place. And then I just walk away and leave it. The other part of it is a different story.
Yeah. We don't need that story. But the thing is,
it shows you it's a part of the destruction that can happen if the football is in the hands of the wrong people.
Yeah, well, we got to get back to the youth thing. I think Bugs is telling me they're thinking of it again. And although I went and covered the Mellow Masters League, it's not my comfort zone. After doing World Cups and stuff, you can bring 6-year-olds or whatever and invite me. I feel more comfortable knowing that there's development there.
Years ago, I think it was Rye I was talking to, because they were running the Flemington League. I think he was running the Flemington.
Yeah.
League. Short, fat guy. He was running the Flemington League, and I was talking to him. At the time, it cost $10,000 for the registration fee in the Old National Soccer League. And I presented him with the idea of maintaining the Flemington League as a development league. Take the best players from it, okay? Create a National Soccer League entity, okay? Rent Birchmount Stadium for maybe 8 hours on a Saturday or Sunday. Play one of those games from the Flemington League, as a warm-up game,
Mm-hmm.
play the National Soccer League game, and a couple of youth games. Because at the time, and I heard Sammy's interview with you, and he's talking about how his son played youth soccer. At the time, all right, once you start having families, then people start moving away from the West Indies, and they start moving away from the Irish.
And they go
They
into
have to go,
these clubs.
they have to go where their kids go and play youth soccer. And I'm saying, why don't we have them all come into West Indies and create youth programs? So now you will know where to find your next team after age 15.
It's a pity at that time. Well, we came with, I know you were knocking on the door with the Caribbean Stars. Actually, I brought you down in Lamport in the beginning there, but because I'll tell you the honest truth about that, Laza. When I brought you with the starting of Caribbean Stars, it was you and Winty, right? You remember you were in the change room, we were both in the change room to address the team. One of the things, and I'm saying that right after what you just said there, based on the fact that one of the things they were amazed with Caribbean Stars and that especially that day you were there. If you remember, we played 2 practice games, on Lamport. They were amazed that we were getting so many players with that type of quality, right? But I knew we were going in against the Italian, these guys, and money. And I always had a little fear with you. I'll be honest with you now on air, that I always feel your quality. We couldn't afford you because you always push like a high quality. And to me, you were always professional in the things you want to do and how you wanted to be compensated. And I think that was only fair to you. So if you remember, Caribbean Stars and the players will be watching this interview, we weren't really paying.
Yeah.
And the thing about you too, which I liked even around that time, is that you never fussed. You continued doing what you were doing.
Yeah.
You know.
But in this game, in this province, and I opened the first Canadian professional league, 1981-82, with franchise in Toronto Nationals, for Mississauga, Croatia, Hamilton Steelers, Montreal Impact at the time, Calgary, Edmonton with Randy Samuel, some of those same players that went on to play for Canada in the '86 team. As I remember, there was about 9 or 10 of them that came in from Vancouver to try out with Toronto, Croatia, or Mississauga. It was Mississauga, Croatia at the time, in the first Canadian professional league.
But I remember when it was formed for the CNSL, yeah.
Eh?
Yeah, I remember when they formed it, yeah.
The Canadian, the CPL, the Canadian Professional
League, yeah. That was what, yeah.
That was about 81, 82. Played for about 1 or 2 seasons. All right. Remember Randy Samuel, the big black central defender, played in Holland.
Vancouver, yeah.
That's where I met Carlos Rivas and those guys. They played for the Edmonton team.
Okay. So that idea that you have there, I mean, we're in the Black awareness time. Bugs told me he was there in West Indies for life, which was amazing to hear somebody committed as a. You don't have to be on record of that because I know over the years for your level of talent in the coaching and development, for you to be around the community as you always are, that the community can kind of rely on you if the ideas seem meaningful. So what you see moving forward from here, you think there's any hope still?
Over whatever happens over at Thompson Park, it's a nice little social environment.
Yes.
To go on a Saturday or a Sunday when they play and have a good time, kick a ball around and go home. I guarantee you, all of those guys, if their kids are playing youth soccer, they will not be there. They're going to take their kids someplace else. So priority takes over. It's a nice little way to go and meet some friends from a long time, spend a couple of hours. Some other guys can spend longer, but a couple of hours, say hi to all the guys you haven't seen in a while, and then move on. Because I had 2 programs in Ontario League One from Sanjax, and this program, Sanjax is coming, like I told you, it was born in Jane and Finch. in the ghetto. Just a bunch of friends sitting around when we came to Flemington Park. Actually, it was a old KC old boy, Frano, used to run a program in the community center, a black program called, I think, the Maroons in Jane Finch in the community center. And I used to live there. I happened to drop into the community center one Thursday night, and he introduced me to the guys and says, hey, this is Laza. If you guys are interested in soccer, he can help you guys. So actually the following week I went back, okay, and they had their clique of guys and they picked their team and I was the last one picked and I didn't say anything. Hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, believe me, I didn't say anything. I just took a seat, and when I get a game, I went on and played. And then the following week, I asked him, "What is your intent? How can I help you guys?" Right? And they say, "Oh, they like to play in the league." So I started making contacts with the league, the old TND. They had to go into the second division, but all the registration for the league was closed, and there was no place to go but Flemington Park. So I contacted our Roy and says, hey, I have a group of guys here from Jane Finch who would like to take part, and we were accepted. So now we have to start looking about a team because we were accepted without even having a team because it was a bunch of friends that used to just go and play behind the school for an hour.
So Laza, you're a magician or what? Because that representation I saw there, let me hear how you did this.
Well, I tell you what, I started, we moved from the school over at Gosford. Once I was told that we would be in the league. And we started practicing on the field north of our Driftwood, in front of the Driftwood Community Center. There's an open field there where
I know the field. Yeah, I know the field.
You're on Jane Street, you can see all the activity.
Yeah.
Okay, so we moved from there. And once we moved from there, everybody started like following the program. People start coming out and say, hey man, I can play. And okay, you can play, show me. Okay, so it evolves from there. And there was a couple of really good players. Franco.
I mean, you had
Nicky used to be a good player in youth soccer and I think for Woodbridge. Vice was a good player. Bonnie Lutch, Kiddo, our Kitty was a DJ. Because they all kicked me out of the thing, and then I just stay there and put this all together, and I start attracting players, and with my name.
But you do feel good when you see you accomplish and you put it together and you get them occupied, and you're only thinking week to week strategy, week to week versus putting it.
Like I told you, I used to have all the gangsters occupied anytime I practiced there. You could know where to find the gangsters. They all sit at the side and watch the practice. You understand me? So the gangsters was on one side, I'm in the middle with the practice, and the cops are on the other side. So you could find everybody there, right? And then we played in the league, and there was something happened one Saturday, and I didn't like it. So I folded the program. And actually I went to see one guy, it was a black guy, that used to be a part of the Caravana committee, and he works with Parks and Rec, and I made a presentation to him to help the kids from that neighborhood. Is
that from Malvern now?
No, from
not Randy?
No. I won't mention the name, but it was like I was.
All right, okay, no problem.
It was like I was talking to a wall, and these are high-level black guys in all these positions, and I'm saying, all you're trying to do is save a life. So how can you help this? You're not helping me. How can you help these kids? To create a program. They need balls. They need equipment. You understand me? And it's like I'm talking to a wall. Actually, the gangsters were more willing to help than high-profile people. You understand? But an incident happened, and I folded it. I went to Jamaica for a while. I came back.
How was that start? You went to Jamaica to coach? I understand you went to coach. And
No, I didn't go to coach. I just got fed up of Canada. I went home for a while. My father was alive. I went home for 2 weeks. I spent 10 months.
Oh, I thought you left, you stayed longer than that.
No.
Oh,
When I went there, I started building a youth program in my community because now by this time they had taken Hazard from the community that I grew up in, and they brought it to Portmore. And the kids had built their team back, and they got suspended from the local league that they were playing in. 6 of their best players got from 1 year to a lifetime suspension, only because of politics. Because they had built back their program and was in the final of the Clarendon Division 1 football, okay? Playing against Lions. And this is what I was told. A fight starts. Nothing happens at the discretion of the league. Nothing happens to the Lions team, but the guys from Hazard. They got 6 of their best players, got from 1 year to lifetime ban. So when I went there, I saw the whole destruction, because it's a community that is synonymous with football. We have 2 presidents, by the way, from Jamaica Football Federation that learned their craft right there.
names?
Princeton Boxhill and the president.
Okay, yeah, we are telling me about the present. Yeah.
You understand me?
Yeah.
They all come from Hazard.
So you put them back into shape before you came back after 10 months?
Well, I did. But they have no league to play in. And they started playing in corner leagues. They would win a 75,000 Jamaican dollars a year in a corner league and 75 over there in the league until they were able to get back into division football. I went there for 2 months and I prepared them. They won the league and then moved to the Confed League. And again, like you see, the best talent from across the Caribbean eventually migrates.
Yeah.
So then it becomes a void of leadership. There's no leadership around it. And it disintegrates again. So I came back and I was actually playing in the Masters League when they played at Birchmount and Lawrence.
Yeah. Oh, that's
right. They used to play at Birchmount and Lawrence?
No,
right
Shepherd, Leacock. Shepherd.
No.
Birchmount and Lawrence.
Birchmount and Lawrence, right behind the high school. There's a hockey rink.
Between Kennedy and Lawrence.
Between Kennedy and Lawrence.
I mean Kennedy and Birchmount.
Between Kennedy and Birchmount.
Yeah.
The south side of Lawrence.
Yeah.
When they used to play there.
Yeah.
I remember at the end of a game, I was sitting underneath a tree with the West Indies guys. And there was a woman, what's her name? Gemma. Gemma used to coach a bunch of kids from North Scarborough. They were 11 years old at the time. Okay, and at the end of the game, I was underneath the tree with a bottle of beer, but I could hear her from about 10, 15 yards away going, "Who is Laza? I'm looking for Laza." And she started talking to somebody that I'm looking at this. Somebody told me that he could help me coach some kids. And I was gonna say no, but when I held up my head, she had about 4 or 5 little boys behind her. She had Joshua Cumry, a little African kid, Dominic Ansa, Kyle Al, and about 2 more. So I asked her, where do you practice? So the conversation continues. I asked her, where do you practice? She told me in that school, they had a little complex over at Pharmacy and
Finch. A little south of Finch,
no? South of Finch.
Yeah.
Huntingwood? Is that Huntingwood?
No,
it's between Shepherd, between Pharmacy and Finch.
Yeah.
It's on Pharmacy between, I think,
Pharmacy and Victoria.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So I asked her, when do you practice? She gave me 2 days, the Tuesday and the Thursday. The Tuesday I drove in and I sat in my car and watched everybody come in. And then I drove away. At the end of the practice, I got back before the practice was over and watch how they ended. Okay. At the end of the practice, I told her, okay, I'll come in and help you. So the Thursday I went back. The practice was 7 o'clock. I got there at 6:30. Took a ball out of my trunk and started juggling it. And then I see all the housewives and the baby mothers coming in with the kids and everything.
Yeah.
All right. And I remember because the Tuesday, she had a little grid, 30 by 30. And all the parents put their lawn chairs right up against the grid, and she's talking to the players and then turn around and talk to the parents. Oh, well, this is crazy. So the Thursday I got there, okay, the baby mother is bringing her son's bag, and I told her, drop it. And she looked at me as if I'm crazy. I said, the bag is his responsibility. If he can't carry his own bag, it's not like it's a hockey bag that weighs about 50 pounds. It's a little soccer bag. It's your responsibility. There's certain responsibility that goes with playing, i.e., you're in charge of your own equipment. Oh, by the way, she bent down to tie his lace. Really? You're going to tie his lace for him? Oh, he's 11 years old. He's 11 years old. He can't tie his lace. Then maybe you should buy him Velcro shoes. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And I took that little program from there. I spent 2 years with it. When they were 13, I was going to go to Jamaica on vacation. I figured, what am I going to do with these little kids? So I went into the provincial program to ask for a tryout. Now the provincial program was 14 years old. So I brought Dominic, Kyle Hall, Joshua, and little Oriental boy, Michael Luck. I think he's where is he playing? I heard in Japan or South Korea he's playing right now. And this kid, I'm telling you, Michael Luck plays all the position. The way he loves the game.
I think I know that name, you know.
Little boy.
I know that you don't know.
Little boy named Michael Luck.
I think I know that person.
All right. Adam Chang, because Adam's dad was the manager for the team, Peter, and a nice little bunch of kids. At that time, North Scarborough had what? At 35 teams.
I think Adam was with the Malvern program before he went down North Scarborough. He's a disciplined defender.
Little boy. They were little boys at the
time.
So I spent 2 years with the, actually, what's her name? The goalkeeper was little boy from over in Ajax, Steven, and Zamir, Vanya Beckles. At the time, Vanya used to come and train with us. She was about 7, 8 years old. She was the only little girl training with us. And well, you saw how she went on to represent Canada. I think she was a captain for the Canadian under-21 women's team, played in that women's under-20 World Cup in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow the Canadian program screwed her around, and then she just played local football. But she was the best player.
Yeah.
Actually, she's, in my opinion, it's a better talent than Kadisha Buchanan. And you see Kadisha Buchanan, who is Owie's daughter. Owie,
I learned that from you.
Owie, who hangs around. It's a threesome, by the way. You won't get one unless you have the other two. TC, Owie, and Taya.
That's right. That's how they came on Flemo too.
You understand me? Right? That's Owie's daughter. We started with her kicking the ball around from the moment she was born.
She has good headspace. She reads the game well.
Well, again, she grew up playing football.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, it's a game you play. You have to be able to play the game.
As you say, have the talent.
Well, that's the first criteria.
Mm.
And you have to have the intelligence. It's the second criteria. And you have to have the personality. And then you add speed and strength and smarts. Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, this whole thing.
So where you now in terms of that Sanjak's program? I understand you told me it fizzled.
Yeah.
And I know up to last year I think you had a little stint in Ajax. The last I spoke to you, I think you were going there, but my son told me he think you were part of the program before the COVID. So
yeah, I was. After when COVID started, I left there about sometime in November. Don't know what will happen, as I'm hiding from COVID.
Yeah,
I'd like to come out. I'd like to come out on the other side of it with good health.
Well, it's a good thing to hide from, because you're seeing the results of that. So after the COVID, so where you now in terms of that passion you have for community, making your livelihood, not letting your talent as a coach go rusty. What's for you now? How are you thinking?
I really don't know. just like a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah.
Right?
So would you go back to the Ajax program or?
I would, as I'm helping to build a program, which they need to do. They need to build a program for the benefit of kids who grow up in Ajax.
Yeah, my
Again,
son is friend with him, and I'm thinking to at least give the organization. I want to know the purpose. Maybe I'll get it from you off the record and stuff. I don't want to get involved in anything that's not progressive right now.
Like I told them again, when I look at them, all right. When I look at them, you look at the possibilities. As in football, everything is possible. Game has been in this country for over 100 years, but it's still a young game. Right? We have only 3 professional clubs. Well, maybe you can say the CPL clubs that came on last year. Okay.
But they getting some good recruitments. They getting some good recruitments in the Germany and some places now. So that's good. Because Brennan and those guys, I'm thinking of going and cover them too, because I used to get like emails from Brennan and these guys and stuff. So
yeah,
you know, we talk with that off the record too. But based on the Ajax program, how you see it, you seeing potential there?
it's football, man. It's like planting a seed. It's like planting a seed. It's what you do after you plant the seed.
And the seed was planted. I know the seed was
planted. Does it burst through the ground? And once it bursts through the ground, can you nurture it? Can you mulch it? Can you water it? Can you prune it? Can you watch it grow? But it takes a whole host of things. It takes community involvement, because now is the time for people to really believe in Canadian communities and sports as a viable part of Canadian community life. So you not only just live in the community in your house, but you actually take part in the growth and development of the community. If you take a look at the NBA, take a look at all these Canadian kids you see playing in the NBA now. All right.
Yeah.
I happen to know what's his name, the Joseph kid.
Yeah.
I happen to know his dad from when I just arrived here. David Joseph, who was a talented basketball player, one of the better talent that you ever did see in this place. Well, he didn't play pro, but his boy did.
Yeah.
You understand me?
Yeah, yeah.
So when you take a look at Canadian communities, you're saying to yourself, okay, how can we build sporting entities or build sports clubs with multi-departments, as opposed to having one soccer club standing alone? Can that club foster the growth and development of track and field, of basketball, of cricket, under one umbrella?
Yeah.
As opposed to these single entities.
Well, the single entities is something broke out about 15 years or so ago, and it was plentiful. It got the participation, it got the interest. The passion is there now, but maybe, as you say, the blueprint need to change a little bit. So while we looking at the structure from the youth level, what do you think? I just want you to comment now on the Canadian. I'm enthused a bit with the national team, the Canadian national team, because I'm not going to hold back to the fact to say that it looked like it's open representation, because before, when I used to go to World Cups, I used to always take pictures of France bench and stuff. And I'll be honest, you look on the team and you see 7 black guys, and you look on the bench and you see 6 black guys and 1 or 2 white guys. And you ask yourself, you just ask yourself, none of them guys could have really cracked the other lineup or whatever. So based on coming here and knowing that there seemed to be a quota system, and I mean, it's a fair assessment. I think that has been broken in this system here. It's broken now in the system here. I think Canada is in good shape, whether it be the TFC and everything else. So what do you think about the national men's program now? Because I like the fact that that's broken. It seems like it's broken now. It's the best would play.
But it looks like it's a nice young program. But again, in football, if you're too nice, you end up last. I learned this from the only guy that has ever won anything, Olga Asiak, a German, who won CONCACAF Gold Cup with Dwayne and those guys. You know? And I remember him coming into the OSA, and the coaches are, the guy takes a shot and it goes past the goal 15 miles away. And they go, "Oh, nice shot, Johnny." And I remember him saying, "You'd say that again, I kick your ass out of here." All right. Nicest for the little kids who are playing house league. He's a provincial under 17 player. His ass is supposed to do it properly. It's either you do it or you don't do it. Because here's the thing, you can't almost defend the player and defend the player. You can't almost score a goal and get and it is a goal. It's either you score or you don't score.
True.
Eh?
True.
Good. So if it's a nice team, it's what are they willing to work for?
Well, they seem to be doing well against the US, and now you mentioned the niceness. I was taking it that level with you mentioned now.
The last go around, the US have no program. You and I and Sammy and a couple of other guys can go play the US. But now you see the US program.
Yeah.
If you look at the infiltration of young players, and I'm talking about 18, 19, 20-year-old players across the world playing. There's the little Reina guy down in Borussia Dortmund. They have players in Barcelona. They have players in Real Madrid. They have players in Juventus. These are big clubs. They have players in Chelsea. You understand me? That they can draw on to create a viable entity. You look at Mexico, who's always the champion of CONCACAF because they're the oldest professional entity in CONCACAF. The game is entrenched there. You look at Panama, you look at Costa Rica, and somewhere lies Jamaica.
Yeah.
And again, you look
you put that right. You
look at the last Gold Cup. You're one of the most impressive teams was Haiti.
I find Haiti is impressive.
Well, I watched them play against Canada. Canada has no answer for the athletic ability and the talent.
Yeah, but even if you look at now the Martinique and Haiti,
they were always good football playing countries. Martinique was always a good football playing country.
Yeah, I'm talking about style of play. The forwards, they have left footers.
Where do they go? They all probably go to France to play professional. Suriname, they go to, this is where the Seedorfs and those guys come from. The background are from Suriname, the Netherlands, Antilles. They all migrate to
Curacao.
Yeah.
Curacao is very impressive.
Yeah. All right. So football is growing in the Caribbean, but again, a big part of it is finances, because there's no prolonged youth programs. You know, we talk about clubs. We talk about the definition of a club. A club is an institution within a geographic area. So that's why clubs like Benfica, like Juventus, like Manchester United, like City, like West Ham, okay? They're institutions. Arsenal, they're institutions within a geographic area. You understand? Okay, so now once you have the club, you have the institution. You need to start the institution. You need a viable academic program for the fostering the growth and development of the younger talent. Because if you have to be like Juventus or Manchester United to go buy it, then it's going to cost you more than growing it. And it's like a farm. Whatever you grow and you can't eat in your garden, you give it to your neighbor or sell it.
Yeah.
You understand me?
Yeah,
so across the Caribbean, now you have to start looking at development, because the game that is played in the schools is not development. Regardless of what anybody wants, it's viable and it's exciting and it's entertaining, and because communities embrace the schools, because the schools are institutions within geographic areas, and so those institutions are embraced by the residents.
Yeah, true, the parenting.
You understand me? But they're not development programs. They're not, because they only play for what? For 3 months of the year. Who can you develop? And you only play 3 months of the year. And this is why you see the American program is evolving, because the Americans realize that the college player who plays for 3 months of the year or 4 months of the year and spend 6 to 8 months on a physical development program, he can't play football because you lose all the flexibility and the agility that you need to play the game. He becomes bulky like an NFL player. So if you take a look, Major League Soccer now are going to their own academies. So you will soon see the best talent going to Major League academies, i.e. Toronto FC. How many kids do they feature?
Yeah, they're featuring a final, they're signing a lot now.
Are they coming from a college program or they were in Toronto FC Academy program?
Academy.
Good. So they choose to become a professional at the age of 15 years old. So you get into a professional academy to learn the game and develop. Now the Caribbean is blessed with an abundance of talent. Everywhere you go in the Caribbean, you see talent. It's undeniable. You will see talent anywhere you go in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
The only thing that needs to happen to it, you need to bring it into a professional environment and structure it professionally, because they're born athletic.
Yeah, that's what you were telling me a couple of years ago about, you know,
yes.
if you know anybody want a structured program.
They have to run, either from gangsters, the police, or dogs. So they're born running. So they're blessed with athletic ability. Because some of the best practices these kids can have is without a coach, just the ball and the players. Because you learn best. In a professional environment, then you learn about proper training and nutrition and structure. Because you can't teach talent. You can't teach somebody how to be talented.
You had to nurture it, yeah.
You can identify the talent and nurture the talent.
Yeah.
But you can't teach somebody to be talented. You can teach them to use the talent.
Yeah.
And again, it's the first criteria. I don't know. You watch all these leagues playing across the world.
Yeah. Well, Laza, you know, is you, in terms of ball, we can talk like all day, you know. You know, and that's what I'm saying. And first to begin, who you are radiates from what you do as a player, right? And as I was telling Bugs last night, I ended up playing with Winty. I think you and I had this conversation up at Leacock, up on the hill. We were watching a game, and you were one of the players I really wanted to play with. But at that time, I was with Magic, and as I was saying, it's like I didn't see because at this old age now, you want more socializing and stuff, you know. But I always respect you as a player and the public, based on even your characterization of the game, the public would even realize who Laza is. Laza was one of the young guys that came in, as Buck said, he made a path for himself. You can't tell him he learned it and he can negotiate it, but you can't really tell him much because he makes sure he learned the proper thing. And enough respect to you, Laza.
No. I mean, again, you have to love what you do. No? You know, years ago, I remember I took a provincial team before I even started coaching women football. Here's a story. Before I even started coaching women football, I took a provincial team to Peru. Okay? And it was supposed to be the first under-20 Women's World Cup. Okay? And it was the Brazilian team playing against the Peruvian team to see who will qualify from South America for the under-20s. Okay? And it was the last day. We were in a place called La Videna, it's a Peruvian national training complex. Okay? But before that, we had I'd spoken to the guys from the Peruvian Federation. So I told them, we use the under 14 guys, under 15 guys in Ontario to play against the National Training Center girls program, which were like 16, 17, 18-year-old girls before they go on to college. He said, really? He said, yeah. He says, could you play us? Says absolutely, because there was two teams, the under 15 and the under 14 provincial boys team. Okay, first game we beat them, the girls, national under 20 team. We beat them 15-0, which is okay.
15?
15-0 we beat them. The under 14 provincial team beat them 15-0. The under 20 Peruvian team. At the time, female football in Peru was in the okay. There was another game, and they brought out different players, and we were leading. The boys team was leading 1-0 at the half. So I told him, if you don't beat this team at like 10-0, you have to wake up and practice 2 times tomorrow. Well, we eventually won the game 10-0. But before we left, the Brazilian under 20 team came in. They come into the complex that we were working, La Videna. You can look it up, the National Training Center complex in Peru. The Brazilian women's team came in, under 20. With a little girl called Martha.
Yeah.
She was 15 years old at the time. And this is when my mentality, because I used to see the Canadian girls are just, at that time, they just used to whack the ball down the field and chase it. You understand me? I saw this Brazilian team came in, and from about 40 yards away, someone fired the ball at her, and she took it on her chest, roll it off into her thighs, and then throw it into her instead, and throw it back up, and then volley it back. And I says, oh my God, look at this. This is miracle. Believe you me. And ever since then, it changed my mind about the female game. And I remember coming back, all right, and that time they used to play at Leacock, and I was telling the West Indies guys that, hey, I saw a little girl playing, none of you guys can play like her, right? And they all think I'm bullshitting. I said, until you see this little girl play. Well, she's won, I think, 5 FIFA Women World Player of the Year since.
Yeah.
Good. And it goes back to, I used to have some of the nicest girls in the province of Ontario, the Robin Gale, the Janelle Foligno, the Shelina Sidorsky, Kadisha, and all those girls. Tiffany Cameron, who's playing for Jamaica now. You understand me? All right. And I remember I used to Carmelita Moscato, all those girls. I was a part of their developmental program. And I used to remember telling these guys, let them keep the ball, let them keep the ball, let them keep the ball and play as opposed to just kicking the ball away when you're under pressure. And lo and behold, none of these guys, there's 2 women that came into Ontario or Canada and changed the face of the female game.
Carolina
Morachi and Betty Bavagnoli. They changed the way these girls play. And it's only because they're coming from a football country. No, where the game or the ability to play the game, where technique is first and foremost, and you have to have talent. So it's not these guys who they get a bronze medal here, or the other guy used to have them competing.
And Carolina had a little resistance too, because I saw her in France. I talked to her in France. She had a little resistance too, but yeah. she to me, it's like you. She's like, you see, people like you and Carolina, when they go into a system, knowing that they know what it takes with the tools that they have, sometimes management have to kind of get out the way a little bit. And I think that's where her problem was.
Well, here's the thing. You're entrusted with young people. So trust, you have to build trust. Because as a coach, you have to have a philosophy. No? Mine is a player first philosophy, because without the players, you have nobody to coach.
That's right. You're not a coach.
So it's about, everything is about the players. Everything. But it must be supported by discipline, teamwork, hard work, the will to win. And all of that must be supported by an institution or an organization, or else you ain't got nothing. So if you find yourself with an organization that's pushing back on all of those things, and I work at the OSA for years, Yeah? The best president I ever encountered there was a guy named Brian Avey.
Yeah, I know Brian. Yeah, I know Brian Levy. Yeah,
And then the other guy was a good guy too, Colin Linford.
yeah, I know Brian Levy.
Everybody after that is a waste of time. Because you see, they take the game and it becomes a more of a pay for play system. Where if you can't pay, you can't play.
Yeah, I was learning that about the system, which I find strange.
Eh? Well, I guarantee, I don't know about you, but for a guy like me and countless other players, all the Cristiano Ronaldos and all the guys and the Pelés and all of them that whoever play the game, if they'd have to pay to play, then
That's right.
football wouldn't be the way it is. So you have clubs in Ontario who have more registered players in the club than in like a country of like Uruguay. And you see the talent that comes out of Uruguay. In one club in Ontario, you have more registered players in the club than a whole country of like Uruguay.
Yeah,
So
the registration is big.
Yeah, because it funds.
And they pride in themselves on that. And as I say, but all in all now, the whole mentality towards the top, because I guess in 2026 coming in too, they had to get it right or else they're gonna be embarrassed. I tell you, that's the way it is. There's no joking around when the big show comes, you know.
Bossy, you know, I used to work down. I oversee 15 youth clubs for about 7 years in the district of Toronto, where I was a technical guy. They give me the job. They give me nothing else. Right? When I say send me down there and say, just maybe you can do something down there. When I went there, 15 different entities. They all have their own thing going on, and which is okay because football, you have to be able to create it in the environment that you're in. Because what is good for one club is not good for the other club. So it's not a one size fit all kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it's working with young players is can you see the talent coming to the forefront? The only really thing that matters is not a matter of, oh, you get it there. Is if it does get there. Midget team can train at night, no lights, and they can see so when they play tomorrow, no lights you're training in, maybe, and tomorrow when you're playing in the open daylight, you play better. So who cares if midget trains at midnight with no light? Sure. But it's about the show. When the show comes on tomorrow in the day, does your team perform? Does your players look like their players? Now the team over there, they're training down by the stadium where Toronto FC trains, but they have no talent. And when the show is on, they can't. You understand me? So there's a difference how these clubs do how they do. But the only important thing is the player. Are they producing good players?
Yeah, I think that's your strong point, Laz.
And for what are you? But here's the thing: for what are you producing these players, and for whom?
Well, that's your problem now. I realize that's a problem over the period of time because it's almost like sometimes they say a guy may be ahead of his time. And I think that's where you have to either compromise or because...
No, you know something? I created my own program after getting pissed off at these people. I created Sanjax. And for 7, 8 years, it does exactly. Because I didn't want 5,000 kids. I didn't want 3,000 kids. I want 2 senior programs, male and female. And no more than 5 development programs. Sometimes I use 2 and 3 age groups to create 1 program. Because it's about finding talent and putting the talent in a place where it can survive. I remember the first year we went into CAF, Canadian Academy of Football, with Phil Ayanadi. I remember the first year, I brought 2 or 3 teams. I had one 10-year-old little boy. He's with Toronto FC, not by the way, right now. 10 years old. I have him playing with 16 years old. They couldn't touch him because my instruction to him is don't make no physical contact with none of these guys. If you lose the ball, don't even try to get it back. Just stand in front of him. And if he touches you, fall over. Because he may outweigh you by 20, 30, 40 pounds.
Right. That's right.
And it's not a physical race. It's a football. It's in your mind. It's can you outplay him. Don't outrun him. Don't outmuscle him, but outplay him.
Well, I would know that. Yeah, I know that.
You understand me? They had no girls program in it. And I have some 16-year-old girls who follow me all over the place.
So what happened? What happened? What happened? What happened to the program?
People owe me, and I decided to kill it.
Oh.
After a time, especially my female players, they were going into the university programs, and they wouldn't allow them to come back. They take these university programs and play them in useless women's recreation leagues, saying they want to keep these university programs together in the summer.
Oh, that's almost like a political move.
Well, I have no idea. They always say couldn't help me. You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
Eh?
Yeah.
Oh, the guy says, yeah, write me a letter. Write yellow. What are you going to say? The little black guy down in St. Jack's is complaining where do these players come from before they arrive at a university program? They're coming from development programs like myself and other clubs. So if those programs, and if they always say have guts or balls, they will tell the university program, this is your season. It runs from here to there. It runs from August to the end in November, December. And if the players want to go play in the club program that they're coming from or from some other club program, you can't hold them back. You can't create these little useless teams playing in recreation leagues saying you want to keep these players together.
Well, we certainly as a community couldn't do that. So, well, let me just ask you in closing, would you, because the only perception I got is that maybe you see, I didn't know it was a youth program. What's your appetite for senior men's competitive, like the level that the men's or maybe the under 20s or the Olympic, or you have any appetite for these things? And not just Canada, anywhere you can fit in. You have any appetite?
It's football. Anything is possible. I have my own team, St. Jack's. I told you where it grew from Jenna Finch to the highest level of play in the province.
Yeah, but what the reason why I asked that?
Listen,
yeah.
All right? Where my young players, 16, 17, 18. This is Toronto FC and myself was the youngest team within, that was a pro-am, a semi-pro league, which most of those players now move on to the CPL. All right? So I do have the experience of coaching at that level. So anything is possible.
Okay. Yeah, because I know one time you threw something out to me, and that's universally anywhere once it compensates to keep you comfortable.
There you go. A guy called me even last week, asked me if I'd like to go to Botswana to help him develop a program. After COVID, we'll see. After COVID, we'll see. No?
Yeah, you really have to put this COVID thing
after COVID, we'll see. There'll be more possibilities.
Okay.
There'll be more possibilities. The game will change somewhat. Yeah. And hopefully in Canada, it will change for the benefit of the young Canadians who play the game.
You had any link with Tapa? Any link with Tapa?
No, with my program, I used to go mostly into Europe, into Pescara, into Germany.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. When last you talked to Burtis?
I go to Jamaica all the time. I haven't seen them. I kind of stay in rural Jamaica against the
You ever been to any of the other islands and any kind of football / soccer?
No, more than
or just relaxation.
Just relaxation. With I used to go to Bermuda with Chicken Mason and the old Jamaican ambassadors, a bunch of old national team players who get together once a year, or maybe 2-3 times a year in Atlanta, in New York, in Toronto, or Washington, or Miami, just to relive past glories and have a good time.
Oh.
Now we have to creep and play or walk and play. We can't run and play anymore.
So is it safe to say now your philosophy is once the seed is planted, the pruning and the mulching and the fertilizing and the molding, you're flexible.
Absolutely. Football is football, you know. It's
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, for all the organization out there, I don't endorse many things. I mean, I did endorse Busby as the Reggae Girls. And this gentleman we talking to here, I'm talking to here.
Those guys are coming out of my school.
Yeah, I wouldn't surprise.
In Jamaica now as a assistant coach in the under 17 and under 15 girls program. Shane Lamy is out with the national Canadian men's program. Busby started out picking up balls for us behind the goal when he wants to get into coaching. Ask him who we came to help him figure out where to go.
Yeah, I don't doubt that because you in it. You got into it very early, man.
Well, and it's countless. It's countless of them because this is our gift to humanity. This is football. This is what we do, and we help it. We use it to help benefit mankind.
Exactly.
Other people can use it for what they want to do, but Laza uses the game to benefit or the upliftment of the human spirit.
Okay, Laza, it was nice talking to you today, and I like the fact that you're trying to get away just like me with the COVID, you know. So maybe we'll link up and hopefully maybe we might meet with the Ajax program. Who knows? But you take care, stay safe, and let's stay connected.
Absolutely.
All right. So take care.
Yes, boss. Have a good night.
All right.
Yeah.